Welcome back to the Infinite Endurance Podcast. I'm your host, Philip J. Sebastiani, and on today's Big Texas Ultra 100K Championship pre-race interview, I have Alec Hernandez. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Great to be here on the show today, Philip.
Yes, thank you for coming on. Alec, you qualified at the North Texas Ultra this year, and besides that, I was looking through Ultra Sign Up and trying to find more background on you. I couldn't find anything, so I want you to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience here and why you are doing the Big Texas Ultra this year.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, if you look on kind of my profile there, yeah, there's nothing else outside of that North Texas Ultra, because that was actually my first ever kind of jump into the ultra world. Didn't do a 50K, a 50 miler. Just kind of went straight into the 100K distance. Previously, over the last year before that, I did my first a couple road marathons, and so that was kind of my first, I guess you could say, intro to kind of more endurance type of running. I did cross country and track in high school, but was more of like a 400 and 800 meter runner, so never really got into too crazy of distances until late college, and that's whenever I started kind of running more so, doing half marathons, doing the marathons and whatnot. And so, yeah, that's kind of what led me into eventually taking the leap forward into doing the ultras, and did that earlier in February for the 100K, and then obviously qualified for the Big Texas Ultra. So wanted to follow that up and do my second 100K. Definitely felt like doing that first ultra. I've kind of in the past, went from half marathon to marathon, and I was like, oh, that's not that crazy. So the jump from marathon to 100K won't be that crazy. And boy, was I in for a rude awakening. And definitely kind of felt like I kind of left a lot on the table back in February when I ran the North Texas Ultra, and kind of addressed that in training since then, and hopefully can have a better showing this weekend.
Before we were recording, we talked about how you're actually pretty close to the course down there, and there's great advantages to that. But then we also were talking about how the course had changed. So, how has your preparation looked going into your second 100K?
Yeah, so during this summer and kind of knowing where the Big Texas Ultra was going to be based, I'm here in downtown Austin. So I did some ultras, and I also did some like things like 30K, stuff like that, and kind of the hill country, the trails around here in Austin. And I felt like that really got me ready. I did 250Ks over the summer, and kind of also in the spring, and that really, I think, got me kind of fine tuned to getting on the trails and kind of doing, smaller ultras to get the nutrition down, the pacing down, and all that.
Yeah, let's talk about nutrition and pacing then. So, kind of what lessons then have you learned? What things have you tweaked? This was really only 8 months ago, so like a lot. You can grow a lot in that time frame. So I'm interested to hear what are some things you've learned and practiced.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know, kind of, I guess the first thing would be mileage, is because whenever I was training for that first 100K back in February, I kind of got up to where I could do really long runs, doing back to back long runs, but my legs would really, really hurt once I went past typically 55 or 60 miles a week. And so I kind of dialed it back a little bit and kind of really got comfortable running 40, 50 miles until I could kind of go past that threshold following the ultra, and to where I could get it to where I was doing 70, 80 miles a week, and the legs were still feeling fresh. So I'd say that was definitely, one thing that I kind of went back and got right. And then as well on the nutritional side of things, I really kind of started learning more about all of the high carb science. It's kind of, changed a lot of the sport, and kind of, at the higher level, a lot of those guys are doing, 100 grams of carbs per hour or more, right? And so kind of whenever I was increasing my mileage, started doing in my training runs, including nutrition and some of the longer days. And I feel like that's kind of going to help me going into race day this weekend, kind of dialing that in, and kind of being aware of the kind of the new science with the high carb nutrition, and incorporating that into training. And hopefully it results in better performance on race day.
Yes, that shows a high level of maturity. I'm really glad that you shared all of that. And speaking of maturity, also you are one of the youngest runners in the field going into Saturday. So I wanted to touch on that and your feelings about that being in the 20s age group where we don't see many people doing ultras this long, but it's starting to become a thing.
Yeah, totally. It's super cool because I guess whenever I first got into the ultra and ran in North Texas, it was really cool to kind of meet some of the other participants and just kind of realize like a lot of them were into their 30s, some even, into their 40s and 50s. And that was really cool. But to kind of be the younger guy out there was kind of a cool feeling. And, kind of I think it really, really helped because whenever I came back to Austin and I ran some of those other races, I really got to get plugged into the community out here and meet some of the other, younger runners in the space that are kind of pushing the different distances. But yeah, kind of this first year, I really wanted to, get the 100K distance down because for me, before making that jump to 100 or anything crazier than that, I feel like, it's really important to be dialed in at 100 kilometers before making that jump. Like I want to be able to go out there and have a good 100-meter day. Like I go out and run, a half marathon or a marathon and kind of dial it in that way before, potentially looking to make the jump. So, kind of being young, you have that instinct to always want to go more and just do crazy stuff because, you can go run an ultra and then within a couple of weeks, your legs are back and all that sort of stuff. But really trying to be patient, dial in the training, kind of like I was saying, training for that first ultra, the legs started to kind of hurt once I went past a certain mileage. So, just having the kind of patience to dial it back is definitely an important thing whenever you're younger because younger folks typically like to go, 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 go and super ambitious. So, gotta definitely know when to dial that back.
Yeah, and I have this theory that Austin, in its way, is a running mecca for the state of Texas, not
100%.
only by its location, but also the amount of participation from folks in and around Austin. I'm sure you're able to find some great groups, people to train with, but any of those people you wanna shout out or kinda who's helped you along your way the last few months?
Yeah, totally. I did a couple of those ultras this summer with my buddy Ray Elias, who kind of is kind of in the same track, same age as me, and we've been doing kind of ultras and training for this. He's also training for like the Ironman right now, so just kind of getting immersed into endurance sports. That's been my real big training buddy out here in Austin, and then kind of I'm in a group chat with a couple of folks like Zach Pogra, Aaron, and a couple other folks that are kind of in the app and running community kind of nationwide. And so kind of checking in with them and just kind of having, I guess in today's day and age, there's just that aspect of having an online community as well. It's not just limited to who's within your city and whatnot, and kind of leaning a lot on that online community because I'm sure, as you know, the ultra community, worldwide is quite massive. Even though kind of here in Texas or here in Austin, there might not be too many crazy amount of people that are doing the ultras and that sort of thing. So definitely leaning kind of both on the local community as well as the global and the online community. It's helped me a lot, just kind of building up and getting adjusted to kind of these crazy distances.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. It really sounds like you are a student of the sport, and that is so great at your age to be in it, and because something like ultra running is something you can learn and grow in your whole life. So that's awesome that you're going in it now, and it looks like you're setting yourself up for a great day on Saturday. And I want to hear then now goals for race day? Like, are they performance based? Or are they kind of just let's let's finish the 100K? Are we looking to take home some money? Like, what's motivating you Saturday?
Yeah, really what's I would say motivating me Saturday is to just go out there and as cliche as you may say, just kind of do my best to kind of run my own race, and whatever that may look like. For my first ultra, I kind of went out with kind of the initial pack and I think most of that day I was in actually second place. I ended up finishing fourth and kind of went out a little hot just because I was like, oh, I'm running in the eights or the nines. I can do this pretty comfortably. But, obviously sometimes as you go out a little fast, you can definitely pay tax on that back 50K. And so kind of just really trying to run my own race, not get caught up in anything, and like we were talking about having the nutrition down and all that sort of stuff. So if I can go out there and equal or better what I did in North Texas, I think that'll be a successful day for me.
Yeah, who do you have supporting you on Saturday? You mentioned your friend who's training for that triathlon. Will we see him out there, or
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
helping you?
he'll be my pacer for the back half, so you'll definitely see him out there, and he'll hopefully help me finish that back 50 strong. I definitely need it.
Yes, great. So pacing wise, it sounds like you want to go out really controlled and do your own thing.
Yeah, ideally, kind of even splits as hard as that would kind of be.
I love hearing that, man. That's the way I like to race too.
That's the goal, but obviously ideally and what actually happens out there on the race and on the course are two different things. So, kind of we'll go out and kind of run my race to start and kind of see how the day evolves. That's kind of really how these things go.
Yeah. And finally here I'm posing this question to everyone I'm interviewing for your race. And so if you could sum up your mindset in one word heading into the big Texas Ultra, what would it be?
Sum it up and say tenacity. Just because for me right now, the 100K distance is still, really, really a challenge. And for me, I know there's going to be times in that race on Saturday where it gets really hard, and quitting may pop into the head, right? Not quitting, but just being like, man, this is really, really tough. It would definitely be easier to be watching some college football right now, right? And so
Who's your team? Let's sprinkle
I
that
work
in there.
I work for Texas Tech, so I'm a
Oh,
Texas
okay.
Tech guy. So we're doing quite
Yeah.
well right now in the top 10.
Yeah.
Would definitely, definitely at some points be like, dang, would be nice to have a nice course light and be watching the boys. But I'm definitely going to be enjoying my time out there. But yeah, like I was kind of saying, my one word would be tenacity, just because I know it's going to take a lot of that to push through and to finish on Saturday. Because like I said, still kind of getting adjusted to this new longer distance. It's by no means a guarantee that the finish is going to happen. So that's my answer.
Oh, thank you, Alec. Man, showing so much maturity and really excited to see how you do on Saturday out there. I think we're gonna expect you to have a great day out there. And thanks for coming on, man.
Yes, sir, Philip. Thank you so much for having me and looking forward to seeing you out there Saturday as well.